late 1990s, a young man would be found dead in New York's East River near the 65th Street Pier. His body was floating in the river. The police had been searching for him for a month after he disappeared, after hanging out at a Manhattan bar and heading back to campus. It was the last time the 21-year-old, Patrick McNeil, was seen alive. This case is still unsolved. However, this event would cause a full-scale theory, a big theory that stretched even further than New York, but all of the Midwest of the United States. This theory would be brought up by retired New York City detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte, as well as Dr. Lee Gilbertson, a criminal justice professor and gang expert at St. Cloud State University. The theory they come by would be the Smiley Face Killings. It alleges that 45 young men found dead in bodies of water across several Midwestern American states from the late 1990s to the 2010s is connected to the Smiley Face Killer, or killers. These drownings are not by accident, but by killers. The term smiley face became connected to the alleged murders when it was made public that the police had discovered graffiti depicting a smiley face near locations where they think the killer dumped the bodies in at least a dozen of the cases. Whether this is a group or just separate killings is debatable. Today in this episode of Path of Questions, Arturo and Matt will explore this theory and give their final conclusion on if these killings are related or separate.
We're going to be talking about the Smiley Face Killers. This is a very, I would say a very odd case. Wouldn't you agree, Matt?
If there is a case.
If there is a case, yeah.
Because there's a theory that they're all separate deaths. That all seem similar, but they don't have anything besides that.
The targets were always young men from college, often fit a profile of being popular, athletic, and successful students, and most were white, whose dead bodies were found in water in 11 states. 45 victims were found from the late 1990s to the 2010s. And as of recently, the Chicago drownings of 2023. One odd case from the Smiley Face Killers is the victim of Todd Douglas Gibe. When they found his body, they determined it was drowning. However, there are several red flags, which people believe to be a homicide. For one, his lungs were not filled with water, which meant he was already dead prior to being in the water. His posture was also off, compared to an actual drowned victim. He also had 2 drugs in his system, amitriptyline and desipramine. But Todd was not prescribed those medications. He did have alcohol in his system. Despite these clues, the Michigan State Police reportedly refused to reopen the case. Another victim, which his case would be closed, was Dakota James. Marks were found on his neck. He had disappeared in January 2017. His body was discovered in March. Again, the police assumed he drowned and was drunk. But Dakota was an athlete and swim team captain, which would have been doubtful for him to drown. And Dakota was not an inexperienced drinker. The odd part about most of the cases is that they include that it was a drowning when there have been spots on the bodies and what they were possibly forced to take in their systems. Brian Randall Schaefer, an American medical student at the Ohio State University College of Medicine. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Schaefer went out with friends to celebrate the beginning of spring break. Later that night, he was separated from them and they assumed he had gone home. However, a security camera near the entrance to a Columbus bar recorded him briefly talking to 2 women just before 2 a.m., April 1st, and then apparently re-entering the bar without any evidence of him leaving the area. Schaefer has not been seen or heard from since. Schaefer's disappearance has been especially puzzling to investigators since there was no other publicly accessible entrance or exit to the bar at that time. Columbus police have several theories about what happened. Some interest and suspicion has been directed at a friend of Schaefer's who accompanied him that night, but has refused to take polygraph tests regarding the incident. Foul play has been suspected, including the possible involvement of the purported Smiley Face serial killer. However, T has also been speculated that he might be alive and living somewhere else under a new identity. Though this speculation is just that. And whether or not the Smiley Face Killer or killers had anything to do with his disappearance is uncertain, as his body was never found near water or anywhere else. Brandon Swanson, a Marshall resident of Minnesota, United States, drove his car into a ditch on his way home from celebrating the end of the spring semester with fellow students from Minnesota West Community and Technical College's Canby campus. Uninjured, he got out and called his parents on his cell phone. Unsure of his exact location, he told them he believed he was near Lind, and they drove out to pick him up. However, they were unable to locate him. Swanson remained on the phone with them until he went silent 47 minutes later after exclaiming,
"Oh shit!"
He has not been seen or heard from since. In the morning, Swanson's parents reported him missing to police, who advised them to wait as such behavior was not uncommon for young men his age. Later that day, the circumstances of his disappearance became more complicated when his cell phone records showed he had been near Porter, 25 miles from where Swanson had said he was, in a different direction. That information led to the discovery of his car, near Taunton. It is not known whether Swanson was aware of this discrepancy when he talked to his parents. Foul play has not been ruled out, but it has also been proposed that he might have accidentally fallen into the Yellow Medicine River, near where his car was found, and drowned, although extensive searches have not found a body. Land searches, with dogs, have continued in the area for several years. Whether the Smiley Face Killers are responsible for his disappearance is another guess, as his body was never found near water, and he is still missing to this day.
Do you have any theories?
I mean, with everything I've seen and everything I've heard and online with it almost sounds like it's a bunch of random deaths that kind of look similar, but they don't have anything else in common. You want me to explain?
Yeah, I want to hear your perspective.
So there's no actual killer, right? Right, like there's no actual people. They see people around or they speculate, but there's no actual person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the smiley faces, if you've gone through some of the videos, were sent miles away from the actual killer. So someone would die, right? And there would be a bus stop a couple miles away that would have a smiley face.
Yeah, there.
So it's connecting dots that may or may not be connected. Also, the smiley face is one of the most common symbols people draw.
Yeah.
So if it's that common and you find a dead body, I mean, it may not, right?
So that documentary that they made about that, I mean, what's your perspective on it? I know there was one point, there was which victim was it? It was in Pennsylvania, and he was found in that sort of lakeish area, kind of like behind a bar, and there was like graffiti.
Where are you talking? There was the one where the guy fell in to the water, and he was like, there's the aqueduct or something. There was that guy. There was a guy behind the sports stadium where the girlfriend came out, and then the guy walked out, right?
Yeah.
But with that one, they said he may have been drinking a little bit, and he did get irritated with somebody. So if he walked out the wrong way, got lost, maybe fell in, it could have been anything with that.
Yeah, that's my thing with this case is it's possible there has been foul play, because from what I was hearing from the documentary was that the bodies, if they were really like out for that long, they would have been decaying, and they actually, they did a test on a dead pig just to show like, well, if the body was in the water for that long, it should have looked really bad, like decayed, but
right, but there's no, like, it's all circumstantial evidence. Like, someone said something about there's a van, right?
Yeah.
But they can't link the van to the guy getting in the van.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that they say is following him, you can't link them to the van because they were just randomly at the bar.
Yeah, but I don't even
that's
think they had any video evidence of any individual following the victims, nor
there
or
there's nothing connecting, and they're so widespread, right?
yeah.
Is this happened in like what, 1998 originally?
Well, 97 was the first case, and that was in New
Yeah,
York, and then it kept happening, but in the Midwest of the United States.
right. But like I go back to the one with the sports game, right? Do they
Yeah.
have security footage of him walking out and two people following him?
I thought they did have him walk like
They,
out of the area, but they never nothing else after that.
right. And that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is there seems to almost be similar deaths, right? Where they're connecting dots to things that aren't actually connected. You know, oh look, he fell in the river. Oh look, someone wrote a smiley face on the road next to that.
But
The other guy.
but there is foul play though, because some of the marks on their bodies is very suspicious.
But some of those marks could also have been caused after death with falling into the water.
Yeah, that too, but they also sort of debunk that in some instances. I'm not saying that it happened, but well, the forensics, they're like, well,
Right, but you have to kind of think like maybe the guy got into a fight and fell in there. Maybe someone threw him in there 3 days afterwards. But
yeah,
there's no concrete evidence that there's something there. Like if all the bodies were found with someone getting a marker
hmm
and putting a smiley face on the body, that would prove something. Some of the smiley faces that they put with it were a couple miles away from the deaths.
yeah, yeah.
So
I have heard that.
so but we don't know if that's really connected or if someone else just drew a smiley face on a bus stop thing and then the guy died 6 miles away.
hmm
That's what I'm saying. Like they haven't found someone with a syringe injecting someone or putting something in someone's beer. Because I think one of the things is that they get really drunk or intoxicated.
Yeah,
But they haven't found any. No one preserved what the guy was drinking to do forensics on the liquid with inside.
well, yeah, like that was the whole thing too with these cases. The police department never bothered to get DNA evidence or anything. They kind of just like, well, he just drowned. That was it. But they
Right.
never like bothered to dig deep into it, and that's kind of odd.
It is, but when you have an overworked police department with massive budget cuts and you have other things you need to do, are you
Yeah.
really going to look at some drunk college guy that fell into a river?
I mean, I guess, but it
I
seemed
mean,
like it happened multiple times, like that,
right,
and every
but
state did it.
but not in the same area. And if it's different counties in different states, they're not all going to connect everything together
Yeah.
because there would be more. It would be adding an extra dot to that.
hmm
Unless every police commissioner is part of this cult and is covering everything up.
That is a stretch. I get that.
You see, it's what it almost looks like to me is people are just connecting very similar things together to make their own serial killer.
Unless it's like an organized gang.
Right.
You have the cartel. They're like a absolute big organized gang
Yes,
of
but
criminals that go around and
but
they capture people. They do torture them.
yes, but we know of that, right?
Yeah.
If college students were going missing, we would know of that. After a while, they'd be like, huh, if we see those vans and that guy's been missing and he's been found in a lake, maybe we should connect those together.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I get your point. It's just I do think there is something going on that either someone doesn't want to say anything. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, this connects to the smiley face theory. Maybe like killers in certain areas there that just did it, or of course, accident. which most of the police departments said, "Oh, it was an accident."
And
Some
that kind of makes sense, and that's why they may not be taking it seriously.
maybe not. I know one of the victims had something in their system, but I think it was kind of too much compared to what they took. I thought one of them had like antidepressants or something, or something like
Yeah.
that. They had something in their system that looked like it was overblown from the amount that he would assume they would not take that amount prescribed unless he was having issues, which I'm sure who's to say some of these kids and young guys had issues mentally with something and then they just walk off, drown. Now I will say in 2023 there in Chicago there has been a surge of killings similar to the quote unquote Smiley Face Killer theories. However, these killings that have happened mainly been white males, young or popular college students, but as of the 2023 spike, they've not been just targeting white men, they've targeted an Asian woman and some Latinos and blacks. So that kind of also makes you question, well, I thought the whole point was them targeting white men.
Right.
And now
that goes back to me.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying. That, very similar and things are being kind of, put together. I need more evidence because it's almost like people are just picking things out of the dark and going, ooh, there's a boogeyman killing random people.
Well, now, what do you think of the detective that was digging into it?
I remember, and this goes back to like one of the other things I watched said is that two of the detectives seem to truly believe it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the detectives, one of the newer ones, may be in it more for money, and he's prodding the other two to keep on going with it, so he can get book deals and stuff like that. It's just like there's also the Smiling Killer from like I think it was '95 or something. That was on the other thing I said too, where it wasn't the same thing, but it had a similar name, and people are getting that mixed in with it a little bit, even though it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, like they also suspected Luke Helder was possibly the killer, though he was the pipe bomber. But I don't know where that theory came from.
Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of grasping at things a little bit.
Yeah, well, do you want me to tell you my theories? I mean, some of them we've already touched base on. But so one theory is, of course, I mentioned organized crime group. Maybe it's a big organization, hidden. I mean, mafias or just criminal underworlds. I'm sure those are types that are just hidden from society, compared to like the cartel that just go around and actually present themselves with an iron fist. I mean, there could be that. That's just one theory, and then the second one is, of course, these were separate killings or accidents.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then the other one is, well, possibly a police cover-up. Maybe someone in the system knows the killers. But
every system across every state, and every county.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that gets me is that would have to go really high up and be a lot of people.
Then again, I mean, stuff like that has happened. I mean, it's just, I guess in this case, it's kind of a weird, it's just kind of weird that it would happen in all these other states, New York all the way to the Midwest, and higher up in the system.
And if it's multiple groups, right? Because that's the thing I heard is that it's not one killer; it's multiple groups of killers in a larger group.
Yeah.
And then you have a police chief protecting the entire group going between states.
Yeah, unless it's like I said, unless it's a system. An underground system, but could be far-fetched. But I mean, that sort of stuff has happened, like the cartel.
I just want more evidence before I really give into it.
There's also this other theory I have, the Manchester pusher in the United Kingdom. This guy, or whoever, I don't think they even caught this individual, tends to like push people into like a sort of river or lake or whatever. And about 86 people have died because of it. But I highly doubt that this is connected to that.
Right, because wouldn't that also get put on like cameras?
Yeah, but
And-
apparently they haven't. I don't know.
No, I'm saying over here. I'm saying over here with like.
Well, in
connecting.
certain areas, like I could see like cities, like it should be obvious that something would have been caught, but there wasn't. Now, on outside of cities, outside of towns, just like countryside, then of course there's no cameras or nothing, just eyewitness accounts or something happens and we just don't know about it.
Right. I just want more evidence. It
Mhm.
doesn't seem that there's enough because you can always disprove and just say, "Oh, he just had a little too much to drink," or
Mhm.
show me the footage of someone being grabbed into a van.
My last two theories is it either has to do with jealousy or accidental death.
The accidental death I can get behind a little bit. The jealousy's a little hard because they're all going to kill him the same way over decades.
Yeah.
And wasn't the first guy that got killed or the second guy, wasn't he gay? So it was a whole different thing. It was in the episode thing I watched.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
So if they bring up, so you're saying someone got jealous of him and then pushed him, but then 20 years later did the exact same thing, or someone else copied it?
Well, that's like I said, a criminal system.
That no one has found any evidence of.
Just those graffitis, supposedly.
Right, but nothing more concrete.
The only thing I'm suspicious of is the fact that this has happened too many times. Like I brought up the fact that they had stuff on their bodies that just looked kind of off, and then of course there was that one episode where they had a shoe print. It looked like a shoe print on their.
Yes, but shoe prints can also get kind of messed with a little bit.
Yeah, I
like,
mean, who knows?
Like the guy could have stepped in it and his shoe print, and then someone else walked by and hit the shoe print, so it looks like a different. Like, I know they can kind of determine that, but
I mean, forensics. They are like the people that they brought these evidences to are forensic.
Right. But it's the same thing with like people finding Bigfoot prints.
Well, that's another topic.
Right, but it's.
I don't know.
Like,
the Smiley Face Killer theories. It's just weird because on one hand I can see that there is possibly foul play in some of the cases. On the other hand, maybe accidental, but we just don't know. And the fact that police departments all over the states didn't even bother to fully investigate until, well, of course, the detective that does believe the Smiley Face Killers brings new evidence to the table. Then they're like, okay, we'll take another look at it.
Right.
There has still not been any like development since then. So who knows?
Yeah. It just seems like there's a lot of static and people are trying to find faces in static.
Then again, I'm not gonna. I mean, the smiley face graffiti. Yeah, you could debunk that and say that that's probably just a coincidence that they're several miles away from where the body dropped. However, I'm not gonna deny like it's possible there was foul play.
Right, but the foul play may not have anything to do with Smiley Face.
Yeah, no, like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can guarantee there was possibly foul play just because of the circumstance, but the graffiti. I mean, like what you said, that's a famous thing that people like to draw. The Chicago thing, that if they're only targeting white college males, they have just targeted other people, not just white males in 23. So like that breaks the whole system that they've been doing for decades, if they were real.
Also, didn't one of the bodies not get found with the smiley face, someone wrote it on or drew it on the guy's grave.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was weird.
No, that could have been joking college students that just did that to be funny. Let's just draw this on there, and
But that's just your theory. You know, like there's multiple reasons. There could be multiple theories of why someone put a smiley face on someone deceased. One, it's scummy, but two, was it a sign of something? I don't know.
But aren't they supposed to be killed, and the smiley face is already supposed to be there? So you're saying the killer killed the guy, forgot it, went to his funeral or went to his grave, and then in public just got a marker and just did that?
Maybe he just did it to show, like, look what I did, you know? Like,
Yeah,
you could view it that way.
Yeah,
but I mean, I get it, but you could also look at it that way, too. It's like, well, he probably did it to show, like, hey, look, another victim. Or look, I did this. I killed your son. I killed this guy. You know, I mean, twisted people will do crap like that.
Yeah, but that would be like Jack the Ripper killing somebody and like
he did
leaving their organs and then forgetting to do it one time, so he digs up the body like halfway through and just throws out like an organ.
He took organs and he couldn't even finish one of the women that he killed.
Right, but I'm saying that like the MO of this is supposed to be, and then, you know.
Yeah, I can see that, but like I said,
I know.
He probably went there just to be an ass.
Yeah,
or it could have just been punks that were just being jerks.
Yeah.
You know, like, who knows? That there is still a mystery. So, I guess, how do you want to conclude this? I think I know where you're leaning.
It's maybe real, but it could also be just a bunch of like random deaths.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of going with I do think something's going on, but I don't think it's connected to this quote unquote smiley face killers. I just think it's like just killings, either killings or accidents, but I think mainly killings.
Yeah,
and they have nothing to do with each other.
Mm.
At least that's my theory. I'm not not 100%, but I mean that's what I think. It's just a weird case. I'm hoping that they can solve most of these cases with why they drowned. Why did that happen? But it's been years now.
Yeah,
you could just hope, at least for the family's sake.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have to talk about with. Yeah, like I said, there's not really a whole lot of evidence right now. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you like what you saw here, follow this channel to see more Path of Questions episodes. We still need to do some more.